Well, it's been a while since we've spoken about anything BM related, really. But I am going to go through the Korean Tornado build guide today, and also a Tornado. Just generally, I've been playing Tornado build for about 3-4 months now, and I prefer it pretty much in every way to the original ladder build. I really like playing this Tornado build because it has quite a lot of damage in the build, while still maintaining a lot of the support aspects Battlemaster has to offer a team, aka Wardancer as it's called in the West. You're going to have to bear with me. It's going to take me ages to stop calling it Battlemaster or Avatar. But you still have your Wind Whisper, so you still have the damage reduction for your team. You still have the inner key combustion for your damage reduction on self. And it's just an overall great build to play because you also have a more consistent hard peel in Phoenix Dive, which normally only strikers used to take. There's also a Korean build I'm going to show as well, which is quite similar in some ways, but it does play a lot differently. But I tend to use a different build to the Koreans because the other build is very similar to how Striker plays. And I learned playing Wardancer as more of a duelist type build, hence why I used to have the other build with like stun punch and stuff that's in my other guard. So I still play like that quite a bit. As a result, the other build just doesn't suit me, but I'm still going to show it to you for the sake of giving you that choice. I'm also going to tell you the stats for the changes to the stat points because we have 1500 on the beta. We also had 1500 on Russia. In Korea at the moment, you have 1000. So I'm going to show you how you redistribute your points to 1000 because I still don't know which one we're going to get in Europe, and I want to make sure this guide's kind of consistent for both. The build is consistent on both the Russian and Korean patches, so you don't need to change anything when the stats go down. If it goes down later on EU, NNA, or if it, starts with the Korean patch, we don't know yet. I'm not going to go over the actual abilities, like what they do and what points I've put in them and why, like I did last time, because these are all the same as they were when I showed you this one, so you don't really need to know anything different here. So if you want to know what these skills kind of do or what my decision making was when I put points in them, go watch the other guide. There's a link in the description. So what's changed on this one is we now have Phoenix Dive and Wind God. So Phoenix Dive, let's go there first. So Phoenix Dive replaces Stun Punch as your hard CC now. It's ranged, it has quite a lot of jump range, and it freezes the target when you land. This allows you to set up either a Crescent Kick, Wind Whisper kind of combo. You can also do like a slight delay, so just before the freeze ends, the second part of Heavy Cleave Kick lands and you start the juggle. So you can do your Heavy Cleave Kick, Crescent Kick, Wind Whisper, and if that gives you enough orbs, you can then combo, the last bit of your combo will be your Tornado. So it gives you that option. You can use it to peel. It's really good against blasters because you can just jump on them and it goes and it stuns them through their shield. So it's good to peel blasters off people, stuff like that. It's overall really consistent and, in my opinion, one of the best hard CCs in the game. And obviously now you have 2 jumps instead of 1. These 2 you ignore, they're pretty much PvE pods. This one is when you land, it does like a second explosion that gives that basically knocks the target up when you land the Phoenix Dive, and it does an extra 25% on Phoenix Dive. You don't take this. You don't take this one. It's more damage on stun targets. This is the one you do take. I'm going to hold all over it because this is a PvE tooltip. So when you land, it does a 1-second hard CC. It doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it's enough time to start doing an animation for either Heaven Cleave Kick, Crescent Kick, Tornado. So this can also help you to start your juggles, and this is kind of my preferred way of starting a Tornado on someone, like a maximum duration Tornado, if I don't have Thunder Kick up or I want to be more secure about it, so to speak. Because you can catch 2 targets with a Phoenix Dive, even if they're like away from each other because of the extra range. And then you can start your Tornado and you can catch both of them inside a Tornado. So you always take this. This you don't take. It makes Phoenix a combo skill and an extra 6 seconds CD. Ignore that. Take this one. 20% extra speed on Phoenix Dive. And the distance is increased by 70%. It's really good. Okay, so then we move on to Wind God or the Tornado, which in my opinion is one of the coolest abilities in the entire game. It's the reason I still love playing Wardancer so much. Really fun ability to use. So this basically turns you into a Tornado, which will first stagger and then lift the opponent in the air. And it will continue to do ticking damage whilst they're inside Tornado, and they can't do anything inside of it. It counts as a T2 knockup, so they can't roll out of it or anything like that. The ability is only normal stagger immune. It used to actually not be stagger immune. So if somebody throws like Scarlet Dive or Tempest Slash or any kind of knock up into your tornado whilst they're super armored or it's ranged, it will knock the tornado. It will finish the tornado and knock it out. So it's also one thing you got to be aware of. There are some comps that will really stop you using this. A good example is anything with a Reaper. Reaper can literally do a dash through your tornado and cancel the tornado. Some people are really good at stopping tornadoes on career, and I noticed this a lot more as I started getting into diamond games. So it's something you got to be aware of. It's not always consistent, but as you grow in ability, you will learn to land safer tornadoes. So tripods, ignore this one. This not only stops the draw in, it also it's just crap. This one is, I've seen some Koreans use it. I don't like it because you can get interrupted by them whilst they're inside the frostbite effect, since you don't get the so much the lift anymore. It just freezes them and slows them. But I know some people kind of like to take this against if they see a lot of Reapers in queue, because you still get some value. You get more value out of using this for a short space of time than you do using a normal tornado with Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is an RNG pod. It's the meta pod for this skill. It basically has a chance to do 80% of the base damage of the skill. So the base damage is, PvE wise, it says 36,773. I do obviously way more than that because I have gear. But yeah, just imagine it does 80% of that. Like, it has a chance to take for an extra 80% of that, but it's 20% chance to do that extra, to get that extra damage. It's quite high. And RNG pods, you know what they're like in this game. Either they feel like 100% or they feel like 10%, but this one's quite consistent. On tier 2, you do actually get two good options. This one you ignore. It does do a lot of tornado damage with this, but overspin is just better. It's more tick, so if your tornado gets cancelled early, you still got more value out of it than you would have got if you took a scaling attack. So that's nice to have. Wide attack I also really like to use, and I actually use wide attack on Korea, but I use overspin on Russia. I'll explain why. On Russia, there's less BMs running tornado and less BMs in general. Overspin's great, it's more movement speed, you get more ticks, etc, etc. Wide attack is such a good option on Korea because it allows you to range diff off of BM's tornadoes. There's so many BMs there at the moment. Every game I run into almost has BM or artist in it, or has BM artist, and it's so ace to play against. But because she can dispel your tornado, so it's just stupid as shit, to be honest. Yeah, so wide attack, if you move your tornado into another BM's tornado, your tornado will suck their tornado in, and obviously that will catch them. So I use wide attack to diff other BM's tornadoes. So last tier, you always take Raging Storm. You don't take Summon Storm. Some people might have seen Summon Storm on my stream. Never, ever, ever take it. The PvE talk looks quite good for it, but unfortunately you do that, it takes away the stun. Yeah, don't do this. The animation's long, and this also targets pets, by the way. It targets pets, turrets, anything like that. And even though Kelsion technically can't get hit in PvP, Summon Storm still targets him for some reason. So I've tried it. It's not very good. Use this. It's more damage. It's more consistent, and it does like a nice little explosion to get them away from you at the end. And plus, also another reason I really like Raging Storm is if you hit the stagger cap before the tornado ends, and then they get up and they try to go back into you to cancel your tornado or stun you, you can cancel the tornado as they've gotten up and press the button, and then it will explode the tornado and knock them back again and knock them back down the ground, and now they're on the ground and have no roll. So this is also really good because it also adds value to you cancelling your tornado early, and it's always guaranteed damage. And you know how I feel about consistency. You always take the consistent tripod. Always, always Raging Storm. Okay, Korean build, this is going to be a really quick part because I hate this build. And I also don't play it enough, really. It's not my playstyle, so I don't really want to comment too much on what I think about its viability. I think it's a viable build, I just don't like it. And I feel it's not as efficient as the main build. Pretend that this is Korea now. These are the... Jesus Christ, what have I done? These are the Korean stats, by the way, at the moment for BM. Spec is still not worth taking in any scenario, and I will show you why, actually. Because I have spec on this character for PvE. So, for 800 spec, I get an extra 20% generation on orbs. And I get about another 26% on my esoteric skills, so Wind Guard, Earthquake, etc. Now, quarter that is what you will get in PvP, because you'd put 249 in it, because you'd still stay 750 agility, you have to. So that becomes about, so it's a quarter of this, so it's about 20%, 20.5% to be exact, extra generation, and it's now half of 26 is 13, half of 13 is 6.5. So it's an extra 6.5% basically damage. 249 subdue, I believe, is around a flat 19 or 20% increase, something. So yeah, subdue beats in every way. You don't need the extra orb generation. If I had to get extra orb generation, I would literally just swap that for that, which is why I have it on this at the moment, because I was testing something earlier to see what the extra generation was. But extra 50% on any key, you get enough uptime for it. That's what you would take instead. Right, so what's the difference between this and the other one? Everything else is the same, except you drop Thunder Kick and you take Electric Wind Kick with these exact tripods. I'm not going to talk about these pods because they're the exact same Electric Wind Kick pods that are in my other guide. So the way this... Oh, there is actually another difference here. Crescent Kick, I spoke about this pod in the other guide as well, so I'm not going to tell you too much about it. But yeah, it's just the extra Crescent Kick pod. So the way this build works is you no longer really engage with jumps as much, unless you really need the hard CC. You engage with like Dragon Kick into Crescent Kick, or you engage with Crescent Kick using the extra range. I don't like this build. I think it's really bad for dueling. I feel it's really mana hungry as well, because you know you've got an extra damage spell now in your rotation, because you don't always use both your jumps when you engage on BM on this build, but you will probably use Phoenix Dive and Electric Wind Kick in one window, and it's just the mana was too much of a struggle. On career it's a bit better because the mana regen's a lot better, but yeah, that's basically how this build works. So you engage with these two, or you engage with that, and then you know you start a combo up. It's 2 mana hungry. It's a completely different way to play, and I feel this one is just better in 1v1 and 1vx scenarios than this one is. This is actually okay in 1v1 scenarios. It's also got really nice extra mobility in it, but what you've lost from not having Thunder Kick is the only real mobility. You know, you don't actually make this back in Crescent Kick, because Crescent Kick is a horrible thing to waste for mobility, whereas Thunder Kick, you can always Thunder Kick away from a fight, and it's not a waste to use Thunder Kick that way. And Thunder Kick is also really cheap to use. It's only like 300 mana. So it's also a case of the fact that I can Phoenix Dive in, do what I need to do, and then Thunder Kick back out. I can't do that with this because I already use Phoenix Dive to go in. If I use Phoenix Dive to go out, it's like a 600 mana spell. I think it literally costs like 500, 600 mana in a PvP scenario, because these don't update with the correct mana costs. So that's quite an expensive escape compared to this one, which costs half as much. And then I also have to choose. If I Phoenix Dived in, I have to now remember I don't have a way out. Whereas if I Thunder Kicked in, or if I Phoenix Dived in, which is more likely to happen, I'll Phoenix Dive in, I can Thunder Kick back out. So yeah, that's literally how this works. This now part of the video is going to be surrounded by parts where I just have a little tornado showcase of combos happening, but that's the guide. That's it. Take care.